All right, here we go. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Let's see. How's it going?
After a very long break of
Mhm.
making content and deciding that I no longer want to be a content creator, I called you up. I texted you, I'm not crazy, and said, do you want to talk about Drake?
Yes.
So here we are.
Yes. We always want to talk about Drake.
We always want to talk about Drake.
We're always here for whatever nonsense Gottlieb is up to these days.
Honestly, other than Family Matters, I don't think I could name a single Drake song.
I, I probably would have before this. I think I thought Not Like Us was a Drake song because I knew it had
Sure.
something to do with Drake. So
Yeah.
that's about it. Yeah.
It's Drake related.
It's Drake related. He's in the song. He is a
That's
feature.
That's funny. I also am getting over a cold, so if I sound crazy, that's why. Um I was going to ask you, did you know anything about this rap beef before the lawsuit?
No, I did not know a single Kendrick song prior to this.
Okay. I wouldn't consider myself a Kendrick super fan, but he is one of my favorite musical artists, not just rap artists, like musical artists.
I have listened to GNX fully. It's one of the only albums, that and Tortured Poets Department are like the only two albums that I have actually listened to all like consecutively all the way through, as opposed to
Okay.
yeah.
Is it
So
the black and white covers?
it is. As soon as I
Yeah.
see a black and white cover, I'm like, yes, thank God.
So folklore is up next.
Folklore, yes.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
listened to see. I've listened to some. I mean, I'm talking about like going into the album with
Yeah.
no knowledge. Yeah. So I've listened to some songs off Folklore. So now I'll never have that fresh experience. But it is Tortured Poets Department and GNX.
I
So
love it.
yeah. Um.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there's a rap, just to give anybody who doesn't know what's going on.
Okay.
Drake releases some songs, and I don't remember the order of the songs, but Drake keeps kind of poking at Kendrick. So he's releasing some diss tracks. I'm the greatest rapper of all time, which is very common in rap music, right? Everybody's the best. Issa Rae, actually, who's an actress, has a really funny acceptance speech where she's like, I'm going to give this acceptance speech like I'm a rap artist. And she's just like, I'm the best. Nobody helped me to do this. Like, it's so funny, but it nails kind of the air of what's going
Right.
on. So Drake is releasing these songs being like, come on, Kendrick, you know you want to respond. You know. Come on, respond to me.
Yeah.
So Kendrick responds, and there's this sort of back and forth rap battle. And the song we're going to talk about today is the standout song. It blows up.
Right.
I think part of that is the cultural context because it touches into more than just Drake versus Kendrick.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It touches into like culturally what it means to be Black in America, which at the time Kamala Harris was running, that really touched like a very strong nerve. And rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like the standout. I think they said the next highest streaming song had like 4% of the overall streams of Not Like Us.
Oh,
So Not Like Us gets performed at the Super Bowl, and people are starting to call Drake a pedophile because Kendrick in the song calls him a pedophile, kind of. He calls the whole crew pedophiles. We'll get into that.
yeah.
And Drake decides this is defamation and he sues. The court says in context, the reasonable listener cannot see this as a true statement, right? This is
Right.
art. This is the nature of this art. Dismisses his claims, and now Drake has appealed. So this is kind of the context of his appeal is what we're going to talk about today. We don't need to point it out, but we are both white. So anything we get wrong or, we're going to be as sensitive as possible, understanding that we are the us that are not like us.
Yes. And I mean, coming to this from like, this is possibly the only song that I think a lot of mid 30s white women could actually like a rap song that they would know. I mean, I thought this can't be that popular. And then I'm watching the halftime show and there are like 70,000 people singing A minor.
Yeah.
This is a cultural bonding moment for everybody to call Drake a pedophile.
It's so funny because I really liked Not Like Us. It's very catchy.
Yes.
Euphoria, which is one of the other songs in the rap battle,
I haven't
I
listened to
think
this.
is like a masterpiece song. It's like 6 minutes long, which is the drive from my house to work.
Nice.
So I will some days just be like, I don't know what I'm going to listen to. Euphoria is fine. Like, get me amped up for work. So it's funny. I was listening to just like a rap radio station the other day when I was running, and Not Like Us came on, and I was like, oh, this is actually a very good song. I just passed it over because it wasn't Euphoria.
Like it just, I mean, this became like this cultural phenomenon, and it's like, it's really hard, I think, to explain what it is that just everybody bonded, because it's like, I don't think that many people knew, like, it just seeing something about the Super Bowl halftime show, because I remember my friend and I were talking about whether or not he was going to say everything in the song. Yeah. Because this lawsuit, the original lawsuit before the appeal, was still going on. And I was telling my friend Tyler, like, this is happening so that he can try and block him from performing at the Super Bowl. So the question we had is, what if he just doesn't play Not Like Us? Do you think he's going to play it? We had this debate going on. And then not only did he play it, he just doesn't even sing some of the worst lyrics, because the entire stadium does for him.
It was amazing.
It's like, this is so much worse than what, and I think honestly the fact that he was suing probably contributed to that, because it's like you're trying to block him from playing this at the Super Bowl.
I have this annoying habit. I'm aware it's annoying. If you're in my life and we watch a movie together, I'm sorry, I'm going to do it to you. If I find like a facial expression funny, I will rewind over and over and over and watch it again and again and again. And I did that to my mom, where I was like, no, look, when he looks at the camera and he goes, hey, Drake. And my mom was like, stop making me watch this. But now even my very white mother could probably name Not Like Us out of a lineup.
It is the cultural momentum of Not Like Us will probably, it's like that one Pokemon Go summer.
So should we start? I would like to start with the lyrics of the song.
Okay.
Because I think it's important for analyzing some of the arguments that are made.
Okay. Let's see. So let me put this up.
And I highlighted some stuff.
Okay.
So yes, I'm going to read these lyrics. No, I'm not going to say the N-word, obviously. And no, I'm not going to rap it.
Okay.
But we've got, Mustard on the beat. Debo, any rap, he a free throw. Man down, call an ambulance, tell him breathe, bro. Nail someone to the cross. He walk around like Tizo. What's up with these people trying to see Compton? The industry can hate me. Fuck them all and they mama. How many ops you really got? I mean, it's too many options. It sounds so horrible when I read it like this. I'm finna pass on this body. I'm John Stockton. Beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show. Certified bookie man. I'm the one they up the go. I have also watched the halftime show many, many times. I'm the number one listener on Apple Music. Okay. Walk him down the whole time. I know he got some hoe in him, pulling him, extort shit, bully the fro on him. Stay Drake. I hear you like him young. You better not ever go to Cell Block 1. To any bitch that talked to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. And I highlight this because I think this refers to the other songs in the battle. So this is maybe not the part I hate. Okay. They tell me Chubb's the only one that got your hand-me-downs. Then party at the party playing with his nose now. Who is a rapper. And Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy, certified pedophile. That line to me actually tells me he's talking about Baca. I don't think he's calling Drake a pedophile here. I think he's saying Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy, certified pedophile. Now, lover boy is a Drake song. So it could be referring to Drake. I will point out that Baca's weird case was that he was involved, I think, with prostitution and went to jail for it. And he was like, what's it called when he's the pimp? Right. He was actually like prostituting women out, like trafficking women. Yeah. Jesus Christ. You would think in the current climate. Right. Okay. So wop, 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 dot, fuck him up. wop, 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 wop. I'm going to do my stuff. Why he trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? So to me, that speaks to the other rap. Why are you trolling like a bitch? So now we're starting to get a signal that there are other things going on outside the context of this song.
Okay.
Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. They not like us. You think the Bay gonna let you disrespect Pac? I think that Oakland show is gonna be your last stop.
And that lyric is specifically one that he cites pretty heavily in this litigation. That Oakland show gonna be your last stop. He thinks that's a death threat.
Oh, come on. And that's a part of rap, right? Like is big and tough and this chest puffing and you know, they're peacocking around, which I love it. But outside the context of this song, this is the first line in this verse. Mm-hmm. You think the Bay gonna let you disrespect Pac? What the fuck is he talking about if he's not referring to something else?
Right.
So, did Cole foul? Okay, when, where? Right? Obviously in another song. I don't know why you still pretending. What is the owl? Bird and bird Chesco. The audience not dumb. Shape the stories how you want. Hey Drake, they not slow. Right? So it's very clearly responding to something that Drake did or said.
Right.
To me.
Something outside this song.
Right.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole still deep. I can go further, I promise, which gets brought up a lot in this litigation. Ain't that something? B stand for bitch, and you Malibu most wanted. Ain't no law, you're a ball boy. Fetch Gatorade or something. Since 2009, I had this bitch jumping. So since 2009, right, there's this back and forth. Mm-hmm. Right? Since 2009, something is going on.
Right. Is that when this started? Is that when the back and forth started?
I don't really know. This recent round of cluster of songs all kind of released boom, boom, boom. And Kendrick was releasing, like Drake released a song, I think it was Family Matters. And hours later, Kendrick releases another song. So it was like days were going by and it was just song.
Okay, so it looks like Family Matters was May 3rd of 2024.
But I think they've had beef for a while now.
Okay.
So skipping down, it says, this hoe, that's not the lyric, but better not speak on Serena. So again, we're referencing something that Drake said.
Right.
And then that predators move in flocks. So again, he's calling Drake's whole crew predators. And I don't know that that's better, but I really just want to point out that that's what the lyrics are pointing to. Right? Before, when he was like, Baca got a weird case, you're a certified lover boy, you're a certified pedophile, he ties it to his crew. Right? He has all these lyrics about the crew. So that name got to be registered and placed on Neighborhood Watch. Okay, so skipping down to the last verse. So now I think this is really important to point out too, and this is kind of what we alluded to a second ago. None of this is really about Drake. This is about what it's like to be Black in America. And I think that's why we get it played at Kamala's election, right? At her, it was after the debate or a speech or something like that. But we start to see it more in a cultural context, and we start to see the song, or at least my TikTok FYP, starts to play the song in a way that's like, we are uniquely, certifiably badass in a country that has done nothing but hold us back and hold us down. And this is our history, right? You run to Atlanta when you want a check balance. Let me break it down for you. This is a real challenge, right? Like he's couching it in Drake, but it's so much bigger than that.
Right.
To me, right? Like this could be about anyone. The family matter and the truth of the matter, it was God's plan to show you the liar. So the family matter, Drake released a song called Family Matters, right? So again, we see references to other songs in the beef. So that's the white girl reading and interpretation. I feel like I could do, maybe not me, I feel like I have seen people do very in-depth analysis of every single one of these lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there's a creator on TikTok called Just Wayne who did an incredible analysis of a lot of these songs. He covered the beef as it was going on. If you can find that series that he did, I highly recommend it.
Let's see. Let me see if you said Just Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'll see if I can link it in the description.
Yeah,
and I'll send you the link.
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh, he's got a YouTube channel as well. Called the Kendrick Super Bowl Performance Decoded.
I love it.
Okay, so I'll link that in the description, and I'll send you the link too, so you can put it in yours.
Yeah, Just Wayne is a great follow if you like hip hop. So that is just like us.
Not like us. Not like us.
You're just like us, yeah. That's not like us. So, okay, getting into, and then we pull up my notes.
Okay.
So, like I said, he sues Michael Gottlieb, who is Blake's attorney, is his lawyer. So we already know that a lot of this lawsuit is about hurt feelings.
And so I did want to point out, because I'm always interested in this, is Drake's net worth is $400 million and Universal Music Group is worth about $43 billion, just to give you an idea of the kinds of numbers being thrown around here.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that's a good point. He doesn't sue Kendrick.
He's not suing Kendrick. He is suing Universal Music Group.
He is suing Universal Music Group for defamation.
Yes.
Saying that they are publishing the song, they are promoting this song, and that they are hyping up this song with false streams or with bots on Spotify, which is creating unfair competition.
Yes.
So we have 4 issues on appeal. Well, before we move on, I just want to say, I think it's actually really smart that he sued Universal.
Yes.
I'm not in love with this lawsuit. I do think it's about hurt feelings. But had he sued Kendrick, Kendrick can come back and say what I said was true. Kendrick can use the truth defense. UMG, on the other hand, are they really going to say, no, we think this is true because Drake is also one of their artists.
Right. And
so we think this is true. We're promoting a pedophile on the other hand.
Right. So what he's saying is that he's suing for defamation, harassment in the second degree, and violation of a New York general business law. What he's basically saying is that UMG has like a code of conduct that they have for their employees. And he's like, if you really believed that I was a pedophile, you'd fire me, and you haven't fired me. So that proves that you don't really believe it.
Right. Yeah. In no world were they going to use this is the truth as a defense.
Right. They're not going to say, yeah, we definitely know that it's true. So I think, the interesting thing, there's 2 interesting things. One is that he's saying that they know that it isn't true. The other thing is that he's saying that they're using this payola and these artificial streams to artificially get the song out there to make it even kind of make it worse.
Bigger. Yeah.
And so I did want to point out this part. He said Drake previously initiated 2 pre-litigation actions in state court in New York and Texas to investigate allegations that UMG engaged in a deliberate and inappropriate strategy of paying third parties to artificially inflate the recording's metrics, a practice known as payola. And this is one of his arguments, is that he knows that UMG is boosting Kendrick artificially.
Which is very interesting because shortly after this drops, Eric Dwayne Collins, who is another rapper, says that Spotify is allowing Drake to falsely boost his streams through bots, and that's unfair competition to everybody else because of how Spotify pools its money and pays out artists based on who's bringing in what streams out of that pool of money. Right. So they're saying this artificial inflation is taking up so much of the pot that's unfair competition. So I find it interesting that Drake is saying, well, I know they use bots for Kendrick. And it's like, you the most streamed artist?
Yeah. it's
Okay.
like, and in the Collins lawsuit, I mean, he even says, like, he says, plaintiff is informed and believes in 2024 at least 250,000 streams of Drake's song originated in Turkey, but were falsely geomapped through the coordinated use of VPNs to the United Kingdom in an attempt to obscure their origins. I mean, it sounds like he has something very specific here.
I think there was a report that he relied on, some sort of somebody looked into it, right? And a report was done around Drake specifically. I think Drake, because he was like the most streamed artist
right
on Spotify for a couple of years, I think. I don't really follow anything that goes on with Spotify because I'm an Apple Music listener.
He mentions in the lawsuit that he said the average Spotify listener listens to 10 songs per day, and a big proportion of the accounts listening to Drake's music listen exclusively to Drake's music for 23 hours per day.
Yeah. Which, when I read that, I was like, I actually could see some Swifties doing that.
Yeah,
just hitting play, turning the volume down, walking away.
Yeah.
Because they got to get their girl those numbers.
They got to get that number one. What if the opalite might not be opaliting the way that it should?
I'm so shocked that went to number one. Are you, Taylor? Did you buy some bots, hun? Okay, so the statement of issues on appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Did the district court err in concluding the defamatory material, which is essentially the song, the performance at the Super Bowl, and that image that you just showed of Drake's house with all the pedophilia dots on it, right?
Yeah, so I did want to point this out. Let me put this back up here. So I did want to point out one of Drake's arguments is that this logo here is basically a logo that's associated with these websites where sexual offenders, pedophiles are registered. So the idea is just this image by itself, is this indicating that Kendrick believes that Drake has committed a crime that would put him on a sex offenders registry? That's one of the arguments here, right? Is that he's accusing him of a crime by linking him to this imagery. I think it's an interesting argument.
Sure. Yeah. It strays then into, though, like, what imagery can you use in art if stuff is going to be barred as defamatory, right? And I could think of many different things, right? Images of politicians murdering children, right?
Right.
Political cartoons now could get into defamatory material. Like, I could just see, and it's a little bit slippery slope for sure,
right?
But I could see the way that could be taken to the extreme, where now we're inhibiting artists because we don't want to make political commentary or whatnot on a specific person.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I read his appeal, and I think some of the stuff he's doing here is very strange. Like, the law part is strange, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, he's using parts of the penal code, which are criminal, to argue that there is a private right of action civilly. And it's also really odd to me. It's hard to not compare this to the Lively case, where you have to wonder that there is such a PR maneuver in having this case exist that you kind of wonder, are you deliberately making a bad case so that it will get dismissed?
Right.
Like,
well, I challenged it, but the justice system just doesn't, allow this small David to stand up to a $42 billion industry.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is kind of the thing. I did think it was kind of interesting. What did you think about the court's decision? Because you've mentioned it when you were looking at the lyrics about they were relying on these other songs in the rap battle, but don't they have to stick to the four corners of the complaint?
No, not always. And so that was one of the issues that they had on appeal, is that the court can take judicial notice of things that are publicly available, like websites, like other songs, right? Like weather even, if somebody's saying, oh, the weather was cloudy on X day, the court can take judicial notice of that, which just streamlines things. It just allows, the context and the world in which the four corners of that complaint exist are important. And so you don't get to leave out certain information.
Okay.
The way Drake did was like, oh, this is the only song we should be looking at, right? And it's like, well, there are 5 or 6 other songs actually that are really important to this.
But this is the only one that UMG promoted.
Hypothetically, right? I mean, we don't really know that.
That's true. That's true.
Who knows, right? And some of the other songs. Well, I guess he didn't go into Euphoria in the Super Bowl halftime show. He just went into TV Off. Yeah. Okay. So I want to get into the judicial notice, but the statement of issues, right? Did the district court err in concluding that the defamatory material constitutes non-actionable opinion? In other words, this is an opinion that someone can have. It's not defamatory. If the defamatory material conveyed opinion, did the court err in concluding that the statements are not actionable? Mixed opinions. So there's also this other level of sort of, yes, it's an opinion, but it's a mixed opinion, statement of fact. So some of it could be defamatory, some not. Did the court err in holding that the New York Penal Law Section 240.26 does not imply a private right of action, which is what you just were saying, that they use these criminal codes to bring a civil complaint.
Yeah.
And where I practice, the criminal code has to specifically say this provides a private right of action.
Right.
Or there has to be some case law around that. I think New York is a little different. They get into that. I didn't love it. Did the court err in holding that Drake failed to state a claim under New York General Business Law Section 349, where he plausibly alleged that UMG engaged in materially misleading consumer-oriented conduct that harmed Drake? Those are his words.
Right.
I don't think he plausibly alleged it, but here we are. So the first thing I take note of is their argument. They really drive home that the court overstepped judicial notice. And the court, in its dismissal, goes into the other songs and the lyrics in the other songs. And in a lot of those songs, Drake says, come on, Kendrick, call me a pedophile. You know you want to. And the court is like, so he called you a pedophile, but you told him to.
There's a specific one that I pointed out here. Let's see. So there is a song, I can't remember the name, but he uses an AI generated voice like of Tupac, I think. And he says, let's see, Kendrick, we need you, the West Coast savior. Talk about him liking young girls. That's a gift for me.
And that's where he starts that verse off with, you think I'm going to let you disrespect Pac?
Right. And
yeah. And he's alluding to that song.
Right.
Now, would the average listener really pick up on that? Like, is the average listener going to the lyrics and looking up all the lyrics? I don't know. I do, because I get lyrics wrong 100% of the time.
This is kind of an interesting thought. Like, okay, because we were talking at the beginning of this, we're sort of like, I'm sitting here like, yeah, I'm a 37-year-old white woman who's never listened to a rap song before, not like us. That is actually kind of the argument here, right? Is that, what if I'm just hearing not like us? Those 70,000 people at the Super Bowl probably don't know the history.
Sure. And he says, it's only the rap super fans. He calls them rap super fans several times, which I wanted to punch somebody when I read it the third time. I was like, shut up.
Right.
But he says like only the rap super fans would really be looking at the context. And that might be true. I mean, like I said, my FYP was people breaking down. I was watching this rap battle happen real time, right? And creators that I follow are covering it real time. A lot of the people in the music world who do like music reaction videos were reacting to all of these songs real time. So to me, you didn't need to be a rap super fan, but that's also my algorithm in my corner of the internet.
Right.
Where I probably am closer to a rap super fan than just a casual listener.
Right. And so what he argues is that there were these repeated republications to a larger and larger audience. So first he says, there's the video, there's the music video, and then there's the Democratic National Convention, which is where they play the whole song. And then there's, TikTok and Instagram, and he's talking about how they took down the copyright infringement stuff on YouTube to make sure this was getting played. And then it was played at the Grammys, and then it was played at the Super Bowl. And so what he's saying is each of these is a larger and larger audience that is more and more disconnected from the original context.
Sure.
So is there a point when it's getting to this larger audience that we have this republication issue?
And I think the district court came to the right conclusion, because I think all of those contexts don't take out the lyrics where he's referring to the songs, where he's like, Drake, why are you trolling me?
Right.
Why is this bitch trolling me? Like,
right.
I don't think that, yeah, maybe people are gonna, turn on the radio. How old am I? You flick on the radio to listen to the news programs. But I mean, people might open up their TikTok and see people. I feel like the part that was clipped the most on TikTok was just the chorus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, the A minor and the pedophile line got a lot of heat, got a lot of attention, got a lot of eyes. I think, yeah, if you only saw that part, maybe you could come to a conclusion, but is that enough? If somebody's taking a statement out of context, is that defamation?
What about if the person publishing the statement is the one who originally made it, though? Right?
Like if Kendrick is the one.
Right, because I think this is ultimately Gottlieb's argument, right? Is like every time Universal, who's the defendant, puts the song out to a new audience, there's this new republication. And so what the district court did was they found, well, when Kendrick is writing this, he's writing it in the context of all of this. And I'm like, right, but that's not what they're suing for. They're not suing for Kendrick writing the song. They're suing for UMG's publication of the song to new audiences. It's about UMG's mindset, not Kendrick's.
Sure, but the republication is of the song, right?
Right.
And so it's like, I don't think that you can say, well, I took a teeny tiny little piece of this. I mean, Charlie Kirk is a great example. Everything he would have said, you could take some of it out of context and now it's defamatory. Right? I mean, you can take any portion of a podcast and find some little inflammatory line out of context and say, this is defamatory. And if that's the standard, I think at the very least, you have to look at the entire song.
That's a good point. So, like, for example, right, like on this podcast, for example, if I was to just pause and then say, Drake is a pedophile, there we go. Now someone can clip that.
Sure, right. And that's defamatory, right?
Right.
But, like, if you finish that sentence with, according to Kendrick.
Right, according to the song.
According to the song, right? In the context, you're not being defamatory. You're just discussing what's going on here.
Right.
And the point the district court is making is that you don't get to take something out of context and then be like, this is defamatory.
Right.
But the court went a step further, and that's what they're taking issue with, is the court went a step further and looked at the entire context.
Yeah.
All of the songs and how this falls into all the songs. And to your point, they're saying UMG promoted this more. Right. UMG pushed this way more. It republished it over and over and over in a way it didn't with Family Matters, in a way it didn't with Euphoria, which is unfortunate because Euphoria is an incredible song. I will die on that hill. But yeah, so they're saying the court looking at the entire context of the rap beef is beyond what judicial notice allows them to do. I don't think that's right. I think that the lyrics point to the entire beef enough that a reasonable listener would be like, what is he talking about here?
Right.
I think that. I also, my bachelor's is in humanities. So, like, my entire degree was, what is this piece of art and what's the cultural context it comes from? So it's a little hard for me to devoid the way I analyze art.
Right. And that's, I mean, yeah, I think, and I wonder if part of this, the reason why we kind of are both on the sides of this that we are, is because the context and I don't. Right. It's like, because the argument that I found the most compelling was Gottlieb saying that the court's definition of the relevant context as the rap battle is indefensible. The amended complaint contains numerous plausible allegations that the recording transcended the rap battle, and given its cultural ubiquity, was far more likely to be received and understood as a standalone factual indictment of Drake than as part of a hyperbolic back and forth between artists.
Right. And I found that argument extremely disingenuous because in Family Matters, Drake calls Kendrick a wife beater.
Right. But couldn't
So
that also be a defamation claim?
That could be a defamation claim. And I don't think it should be a defamation claim.
Right.
Because then we're telling artists, particularly hip hop artists, you can't be hyperbolic. You can no longer peacock. You can no longer have these rap battles. Because if you say something that goes a little too far, now it's defamation. Now the publisher could get sued and they are not going to want to publish your song because it could strain into defamation. So I think it creates this barrier for artists, particularly within the context of hip hop, that puts a chilling effect on that art, on that speech. One of the things he says too, he argues that the statement calling Kendrick a pedophile is even more egregious than anything that was said in the entire rap battle, is that the social context post Me Too is that allegations against men are more likely to be believed, which I read that and guffawed.
Yes.
I was like, I'm sorry, the pedophile in chief got away with a whole lot of shit and nobody... What?
I also
Me Too was a little bit about abuse of women, so it's okay for Drake to make these allegations against Kendrick that he beats his wife and cheats on her, or she cheats on him or something like that, right? But Kendrick can't come back and say, you seem like a pedophile because you're texting Millie Bobby Brown when she's 12.
I mean, keep in mind, given Gottlieb's other clients, I think arguing out of both sides of their mouth is their specialty, right?
Yeah, I was like, ask Blake how that's going with the whole Me Too.
And just saying, well, when my client does it, it's fine, but when your client does it, there's a problem,
Yeah. So they argue that, not like us, the court applied an interpretation. So it wasn't just they relied on, we can take judicial notice that this exists. The court went into an interpretation, which I think is probably the strongest argument they make about the court taking judicial notice too far.
Mm-hmm.
The final thing I will say about the judicial notice is that the court dismissed the claim at the pleading stage without any opportunity for Drake to submit evidence to counter the inferences the court drew from its misapplication of judicial notice, right? So again, they misapplied judicial notice. They implied interpretation to things that were publicly available. But Drake should have the chance to engage in discovery to counter that narrative. I don't know that that's particularly compelling. The lyrics say what they say. So what's Drake going to do? Like, I have proof that Kendrick beats his wife? Is Whitney going to get up on the stand?
Is it a fact issue? Is it
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I guess the argument there would be, well, Kendrick can sue Drake. Like, I mean, Drake's not necessarily saying that it's not defamation when he does it, when Drake does it. He's just, it is disingenuous, but yeah, I mean, it's
almost like Blake sexually harassing every man she's ever worked with and then turning around and going, he called me sexy. Almost. Excuse me, mixed opinion. So, I
did, there was one actual thing I wanted to point out. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. So, so we kind of talked about, let's see, who made and rather than acknowledging the lyrics exist or just simply acknowledging the existence, they relied on these lyrics, the judicial notice thing. And then one of the things that they kind of said is like the court's obligation to make all reasonable inferences in Drake's favor. They never explained why, let alone established that the only inference a reasonable listener could make from an AI-generated voice of Tupac was a factual message from Drake designed to goad Lamar into making pedophilia allegations against him. But that inference failed even on its own terms. It simply does not follow that if the unequivocal lyrics in the recording are callbacks, they can not also reasonably be perceived as asserting facts. The two are not mutually exclusive. I know. I know. But here's okay. So ultimately, this yielded a glaring contradiction. The court simultaneously held that reasonable listeners would have understood an inauthentic computer-generated voice, one that was not Drake's voice, to be a personal, factual, and literal invitation to Lamar to talk about Drake liking young girls, while at the same time understanding that Lamar's personal, unequivocal, and repeated response that Drake is a pedophile was nothing more than hyperbole.
Right. So me using Pac's voice to goad Lamar into it can't be hyperbole, but Kendrick's is hyperbole, or vice versa, right? Like,
right.
We all know Tupac is dead.
Most
of us do. I mean, I think most of the conspiracy theorists have
I was
died.
Gonna say, is he?
There was that conspiracy for a while.
Yeah.
I think he would have come out by now.
I don't think he would have. Look at the fucking world. He's like, nah, I'm good.
True. He's like, I'll stay on my island. I'll stay in this basement.
Yeah.
No, but I think most of us recognize that Tupac is dead, and that is Drake. It may not be Drake's voice, right? Like, so he used a voice changer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's still Drake goading Kendrick into this. Call me a pedophile, and Kendrick was like, "Great, okay, hold my beer." Not only will I call you a pedophile, I'll call you a whitewashed pedophile, because A minor is all the white keys.
Oh, that's true. That's a good. He's a genius.
I did not come up that again. Just Wayne. That is not. I don't know enough about music.
He's okay. So the other thing I wanted to point out, mostly because it's funny. So people online were using Drake's address, and they were updating rideshare applications, and they were editing the address to read Drizzy touches kids, Drizzy's fun time chamber, and A minor. I did think that was kind of funny.
The internet is such a cruel place.
It's not funny, but it's also fucking hilarious.
It's not funny if you're the recipient, or if your loved one is the recipient, but also like just sitting back and being like. Also, the reason I can't name a Drake song is because I found out that he was texting an underage Millie Bobby Brown, and I was like, I don't need to know anything more about this man. I'm good.
Yeah. I think in Colorado, where I'm from, you kind of know that he kissed a girl at the concert. I had pulled that up because I was bringing up, a lot of people were like, well, he is a pedophile because he kissed that girl at the concert. She was 17 and he was 23, and the age of consent, that is fine. There's nothing criminal there. If he really wanted to get into that.
Right. So it's not illegal where he did it, which is crazy. Did he know that, one?
Right.
And two, like, culturally, I think we still think of like teenagers and mid-20 people kind of gross. Like,
yeah.
Taylor Swift gets shit a lot of times for dating Connor Kennedy when he was from 17 to like 19, I think, 17 or 18.
I'm sure it didn't start till after he was 18. That's what they always say.
She was picking him up from high school.
Oh God.
If you have to pick if you are of drinking age and you are picking your date up from high school, you've lost the plot.
Yeah, we're not doing. I don't even want to talk to anyone until 20. So let's see. So they did say. Oh, there was one point. Okay, here's another point. UMG knows and understands just how destructive false allegations of participating in criminal sex acts against minors can be. When UMG and Sir Grange were accused of aiding and abetting P. Diddy's sex acts in 2024, they moved to dismiss the complaint and called the accusations offensively false allegations of criminal behavior that would be libelous per se if not contained within a legal filing, and knowingly and maliciously false and defamatory. So what he's saying is, again, like, here's evidence that UMG knows that this is libelous.
Yeah.
So and the motivation, I guess this is what the other part, the damages, right? So what they're saying is that because they were renegotiating Drake's contract with him, they are trying to devalue his discography. And also to try and get Kendrick to sign with UMG. By showing how much they could do for him,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an interesting damages argument. I don't know if he has the right to a higher negotiation, right? Like, if they want to.
Also, right, like, if this is true, right, if the allegation is true, then is that really to devalue his stuff, or is that just, I don't know. I do think it's interesting that it did come up around contract negotiation time. I also think if I'm negotiating a contract with somebody and they sue me over somebody else's art,
right,
especially when there's potential that UMG is using the same shady tactics to boost, allegedly, right? To boost these streams. We don't really know. Yeah, so okay, so they also say this is, even if the recording is a statement of opinion, right? So even if this is conveying some sort of opinion from Kendrick, the court still errs in dismissing it because it's mixed opinion. And this is where he gets into the lyrics, "The rabbit hole is still deep. I can go further, I promise. And say, Drake, I hear you like I'm young." Basically saying that he's giving the impression that these statements are based on undisclosed facts, right? So I'm hearing, people are telling me, I know more than this. I'm not telling you everything, right? Like, there's mixed opinion because it's opinion, but it's also opinion that I've heard from a source.
Right. And this came up in the Lively case too, with like Ryan Reynolds accusing Justin Baldoni of something. This is like where they're saying, like, because you're married to Blake, there's an implication that when you call him a sexual predator, you know why you have something. Right. You're not just saying it for no reason.
You would believe your wife.
Right.
Would you?
And I mean, this is kind of where I was thinking, because like one of the things that I think Lyman did is he kind of assumed that Reynolds' source is his wife in that dismissing that defamation case. But isn't that kind of jumping the gun?
Yeah, I think I think in that case that is definitely appealable. And especially now that we have so much more information where Ryan's going around and trying to get his contracts canceled, and they're having conversations about Justin getting kicked out of WME well before he is. Yeah. I think you have some stuff there where it's like, I don't know.
But what if the source is his wife? I mean, I feel like Judge Lyman kind of assumed the source was his wife, and therefore it was like, well, I'm just kind of assuming this. But this kind of made me think, like, here, the court is assuming that the intent was this prior rap beef, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the Reynolds one, it is jumping the gun, though, because it's like, we don't know the relationship between Ryan and his wife. To just say that, like, every man would believe his wife if she came home and said this. I'm sorry, what? That is not the nature of men and women in this country.
Right.
No, first of all. Second of all, how do you not know that, like, Blake may have some sort of underlying mental health condition where Ryan knows that she's want to lie at will, right? Or exaggerate, or come home and be like, I almost lost my life today. And it's like,
that's
car.
Just... Right, it's just
stopped
exaggeration.
Yeah.
But I mean, how would they do that? How would they get through the spousal privilege?
Right, but here the court is the district court was saying the context of this is a rap battle.
Right.
And we can't, they were kind of saying it's like an opinion, but they're also saying it's hyperbole, because that context of a rap battle is by nature hyperbolic.
Okay.
Right? By nature. And that's sort of what I was getting at with, like, these guys are peacocking, and they're right. And they're like, I'm big, and I'm, the way men are, like, swinging their dicks around, flopping them on the table. Like, look at how big it is. Get out your measuring tape. Like, that's sort of the nature of a rap battle. Right. And so that's why the court is like, the context here matters. I don't think the court even needed to go into hear the lyrics of the rap battle, because they could have just said Drake released a song. That song had lyrics in it, taking shots at Kendrick. Kendrick releases a song, taking shots at Drake. Drake releases a song, taking shots at Kendrick. Kendrick releases a song, right? I think they could have just gone into it and said, the context of this song is that it's in a rap battle.
Right.
And when we're talking about disses thrown in a rap battle, the inherent nature is that they're not truthful, that they're opinion, that they are meant to poke and prod and be like, I'm the greatest rapper, you suck. Oh, by the way, you beat your wife.
Right.
Like, I'm a better person all around than you are. Right?
Right.
So here, that's what the court was saying. They're saying, no, because he's telling the listener, I hear you like I'm young. I can go further, I promise.
Right.
I know more, right? I'm hearing more. Your crew is well, that was a part of Euphoria, but like in Euphoria, he's like, your crew is essentially tattling on you, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Don't trust your people. So
I did think it was funny. He was saying that having the owl behind bars in a cage is saying that Drake's going to jail, and the judge was like, no. No, it's a bird. It's in a cage. It's, you know, yeah.
Ovie ho. Yeah, and that it's stuff like that where it's like the imagery. Drake knew that was about him. The people following the rap battle knew that was about him, right? The people who know enough about Drake to know.
Yeah.
But the average watcher or listener is just going to be like, it's an owl in a cage.
Yeah.
You know, and there's all sorts of other imagery and symbolism there of like owls represent wisdom and you're keeping wisdom in a cage and, you know, I'm keeping my knowledge on lockdown or something like that. Like you could come up with 1,000 different interpretations.
Right. Not all of them, as Drake is the owl and he's going to prison.
Yeah. This is where they really heavily rely on the rap superfan, right? So they say the court replaced the reasonable listener with a rap superfan. So, which I think, I don't know, seeing it through your eyes and hearing your opinions on it, I think is probably a decent argument, right? The court went into some things that maybe the casual listener wouldn't have even known to have access to.
I will say, as a casual listener, I always just assumed that he was calling Drake a pedophile, like in a literal sense. And for me, I think the actual album cover is kind of what did it. Yeah. Because it's like you're putting this, you know, and so I did know, like listening to the song, that they're talking about other issues and things that are outside the song. But the album cover for me was the thing that I was like, well, he's putting the sex offender registry on the dude's house. I think that's pretty clear what he means.
And I think, you know, going back to some of the publicly available allegations against Drake, right? I think an Uno reverse is if this gets kicked back. So if they get any of the relief they're seeking in this appeal and it gets remanded back to the district court, UMG brings in Kendrick as a necessary third party because he's the maker of these statements. And now Kendrick gets to say, these are real. Right. And now Kendrick in discovery gets to get all sorts of information about Drake that Drake probably doesn't want his enemy to have.
And this is also what Drake was saying that UMG actually threatened to do when he first sued. They said they were going to bring in Kendrick as a third party defendant.
Which they could pay for his attorney's fees. Kendrick's out nothing.
Yeah. And I mean, it kind of, you know, that way, then it looks like Drake is suing Kendrick.
Yeah.
And then you have officially, I do not, as a 37-year-old white woman, I would like to say, I think you've officially lost the rap battle when you're suing the person. It's, I think it's what they call bitch move.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well now you're just fucking whining.
Yeah. So I think that's the Uno reverse here, because a lot of the wind gets taken out of the sails when Kendrick comes in and says, I thought this was true. You admitted to texting Millie Bobby Brown, right? You're hanging out with Baca, right? You're hanging out. You hang out with people who traffic women. They went to jail for it. So that's in itself a true statement, right? Like, so I think you start to get all sorts of discovery around that, and Drake's case falls apart even more.
Right.
They rely on the Michael Rapport case versus Barstool Sports.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been a minute since I've read that, but the relevant quote here was that background. So that background between Michael Rapport and Barstool Sports contextualized for the audience that the statement in the video were being offered in the midst of a hostile public feud between Rapport, and Barstool, which made it less likely that the assertions in the video would be taken seriously. So Michael, somebody releases a disc track video of the other person. They sue for defamation. The court says, no, this isn't a very public feud. I didn't know anything about that feud.
Yeah.
And I saw the video, right? So like, again, the Kendrick-Drake beef was also an extremely public feud. So the question is, how many people have to see it for it to be that public?
Right. And then, then there's a point where you're just, where you're assuming the reasonable listener is going to know that this isn't the first thing that Kendrick is doing. There's a whole history between them.
Right. Which I didn't know that about Michael Rappaport. Drop in the comments how you say his name.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so they straight up say, Drake straight up says in this appeal, which Drake doesn't say it, his attorneys say it.
Right.
The court reasoned that the plaintiff himself introduced in this context in his complaint, whereas here Drake did not plead that the recording's pedophilia allegations were comments on his prior songs, nor does the recording reference those songs. So he's saying Not Like Us does not reference those songs. I'm sorry, we just read the lyrics. They do.
Yeah, it does.
So, like, Gottlieb does this thing where he has, like, a pretty interesting argument, and then he just crosses the line and takes it too far. And for me, reading his shit sometimes, I'm like, this lost credibility because you say stuff like this.
Great argument. If only there were some facts to substantiate that.
Oh, man. Like, except for the recording literally names one of Drake's songs.
Right.
In the lyrics. So what are we doing here? I also found it, found it interesting that they're myopically focused on the one indictment, Drake being a certified pedophile. I'm just saying he's accusing the whole OVO group.
Drake's like, fuck those guys. I don't care if they get accused. It's me that I'm worried about. I'm the owl.
Has anyone considered me? So yeah, getting into the cultural context, they talk about how the UMG permitted the recording to be played to a crowd of potential voters and political enthusiasts at the Democratic National Convention and a Kamala Harris rally, which you talked about as well. Mm-hmm. Again, the last verse, I think, speaks to that moment in time and has nothing to do with Drake.
Right.
Right. This idea that there are, Black people have to work twice as hard and be 5 times as good, if not more, to get half as far as a lot of white people do. I mean, that's statistic, like there's study behind that. That's not made up. Right. We live in a society that holds Black people back. We live in a society that still clings to a lot of the roots of American chattel slavery.
Right.
And we can see those roots. I mean, you pull the sweater just a little bit, it's there.
Yeah.
Jim Crow was like our grandparents and parents' generation. So we're not going too far back in history.
Yeah.
And we have one of the most accomplished women in history running for president.
Right.
Who is Kamala Harris. And she's running against an absolute buffoon. And so this idea, like, they not like us, makes sense in that context.
And it's like, do you think that if the song is only a Drake diss track, that they're playing it for Kamala Harris, right?
Right.
Like, obviously, it's going to have more than that. She's not doing this just because she doesn't like Drake.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that rang a little false. And I think that, to me, again, speaks to the lyrics. Art can be interpreted many different ways. That's why we don't take art as literal. That's why we don't take song lyrics as literal most of the time, I guess, unless you're a Taylor Swift fan. So maybe Drake is a Taylor Swift
every
fan.
Word of Tortured Poets Department, I think, was completely literal. I assume that at some point Maddie Haley had a literal albatross, like an actual bird around his neck at some point, and that's what she's thinking about in that song.
It's actually in a cage with an owl right now.
Oh my god, it's all coming together.
Right? And that's the point, right? Like, that's right. I think really that argument in itself really underpins for me what bothers me about this case is that we should be allowed to interpret these lyrics in lots of different ways. We shouldn't be taking them necessarily literally, especially in like a rap beef or whatever.
Right.
These are artists. They should be allowed to express things And we should be allowed to take them as we hear them and say, yeah, this was about a rap beef between two men, but this also speaks to this impactful moment where this Black woman ran for president and should have won.
Yeah. I can't imagine why we would, we all might culturally be done with the fucking pedophiles, not just the ones in music, but the ones in the office.
Right. Yeah. And the Epstein connection with Trump, I mean, we all knew it was there. Right. Yeah. So this was the perfect song for that anyway.
Right. It's like they're basically the Trump files featuring Epstein. So yeah, I mean, I think, and that's a good point. And then it's like, the thing is like this song got promoted, and he's saying it got promoted illegitimately, but ultimately, doesn't it get popular because people are resonating with it?
Right.
I liked the song. How did I get to it? And how did I resonate with it?
And that's the thing. I think you can promote a song all you want to. Oh, polite. And if it sucks, people it's not going to have that cultural impact.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like it becomes this cultural moment because people resonate with it.
I want to skip down to deceptive business practices because I think that kind of leads into that nicely.
Okay.
So he claims that promoting the song, UMG engages in deceptive business practices, which requires the defendant's acts were directed at consumers, which
yes,
it was. Mm-hmm. The acts were misleading in a material way. Okay. And the plaintiff has been injured as a result. So this is usually about mislabeled goods, right? So I'm trying to sell you something and I say this will cause your hair to grow.
Right.
You will not be bald in 2 weeks. And you use it and you're like, still a bald spot. What's up? That's usually what we're talking about with these deceptive business practices. So he's saying the UMG's deceptive practices were aimed at music consumers and likely to material mislead them because people are going to see it on Spotify and think that all these people had streamed the song when really they hadn't. And so they're going to listen to this song and Spotify is going to recommend this song based on the amount of streams and people are going to listen to it thinking it's been streamed a lot when it really hasn't. And so and he's been injured because now that then more people are listening to him being called a pedophile, right? So
and it feels like that can't really mesh when it's at the Super Bowl halftime show. Like, are you saying they took a song no one listened to and played it at the Super Bowl halftime show?
And 70,000 people just happen to know the lyrics?
Right.
So the damages are the defamation, which I think is a stretch of what this law does.
Right. Yeah.
Usually the mislabeled goods deprive a consumer, right? So I don't know we're being deprived here. Like if I click on a song thinking it's the number one played song and it really wasn't, what am I really losing here?
You know what I mean? The argument is every minute I spend listening to Kendrick, I could have been listening to Drake.
That is true.
Right. And that is kind of the Collins v. Spotify argument.
And that's what I put in my notes. Does he have unclean hands here?
Oh.
Can he make that argument? Because doesn't he do the same thing with his own falsely inflated music, allegedly, in Collins' opinion?
Right.
I also am not really sure that's how Spotify recommends music. I think they recommend music based on streams a little bit, but some of it is just genre-based. I really don't know. I'm an Apple Music listener, so like because I listen to Bon Iver, I'm getting all sorts of like sad girl, sad bastard music like thrown at me. And every now and then I will
say that like in my tortured poet listening, I did get Not Like Us. And I do remember talking to my friend Tyler about this because I said even my Spotify is showing me Not Like Us and I've never listened to a rap song. And he's like, oh my God, you got to listen to it. It's great.
Okay.
But
so maybe it is based on streams with Spotify.
I mean, and I could see that if they see that like it's trending across. It's also possible that like even the Swifties are, listening to it and they're like, hey, for some reason, if you like the Black Dog, you might like Not Like Us.
There is something about the Swiftie cinematic universe, yes, I called it that, where Kendrick is a part of it because they recorded Bad Blood together. So I could also see, hey, this other artist that Taylor is recorded with is trending. And since Swifties love to listen to other people that Taylor records with. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was, I think Drake's arguments lead to a very interesting, how can you make this argument when people are accusing you of the same thing? And if you
Right.
are saying that these acts are misleading and somebody should be held accountable because I've been damaged, you use the same misleading,
Right.
right? Like you do the same sort of material misleading shit.
Right.
So do
Right.
I get to sue you because you also are selling a product that's like, oh, this will make you less bald? Like, it just feels like same.
Yeah, like it's does he really want to put himself out there like that? But then, I feel like this is the Gottlieb special, right? You're reading this and you're like, do you really want to go to court on these facts? Because, like, do you really want yourself on trial with these facts? Like, what if UMG pulls a Baldoni and says, let's go through discovery?
Yeah.
Like,
Let's pull in Kendrick and let's go through discovery and let's let Kendrick make some claims.
right. Like, I don't know.
And if you sit a jury down and say, he called me a wife beater and that's actually not true, and my wife is here to testify.
Right.
And there are no criminal complaints against me, and here's my ex-girlfriend saying the same thing, or whatever, right? Like, these weren't true, but then I made some statements that I plausibly believed were true based on publicly available information at the time.
Right.
I don't know that a jury loves that.
I mean, the jury's going to know the song. they're gonna be like, oh yeah, that was fucking great. Do you remember the part where he looked at the camera? That was great.
Yeah. See Drake. Oh god, I live for it. With his little flared jeans.
I know, and he's so like, he's kind of short. It was kind of adorable.
I love him. I love a short king.
How tall is he? He's probably like,
I think he's like 5'6". So like taller than me.
He's 5'5". Oh.
What is short in stature, but oh my god, he has brains for days. He's a very smart man.
He's a Pulitzer, doesn't he?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's real smart. I would love to listen to like a live rap battle with Kendrick just to see him real time.
I would recommend GNX if you're watching and you're like, I've never heard this. All I've heard is Not Like Us. I just listened to it once through. It's very good.
Euphoria is also incredible.
Euphoria is good. I've heard Euphoria before. I think after Not Like Us. I truly think that, like, if I'm kind of kidding when I say Not Like Us is the first rap song that I've heard, but kind of not. Like,
it's hard for me to believe that you haven't heard Hypnotized by Notorious B.I.G. Notorious Big.
I probably have, and I just don't recall, like I don't recall. Yeah. As you can tell, I'm not a very big music person.
I'm going to spend all night just sending you rap songs and being like, really? Not this one?
Do it. I'll probably recognize some of them, but yeah, it is funny now that I think about it. It's just Tortured Poets GX.
That is probably when I picture someone who's not super into music. That would be it. Like, oh, I listened to a Taylor Swift album and Kendrick.
I really hadn't heard many Taylor Swift songs that I knew to be Taylor Swift songs. And then somebody was like, oh, she's got this new album that is coming out. And I was like, you know what? I'll just listen to it straight through the night it comes out. That was like, yeah. And of course, you know how like they separate themselves and they're like, I'm a this era fan, like I'm a 1989 era fan, or I'm a Reputation fan. No one got on this bandwagon with the Tortured Poets department. I'm listening to it and I'm like, what are we talking about? Who is she singing about? Who are these?
Yeah. That album was like for the fans. And as someone who was a fan for a period of time, I listened to that album and it would be like 2 minutes into a song and I'd be like, shut the fuck up. And I'd like skip the song. My friend bought me the CD and I had the CD in my car and I was like, I'm going to learn to love this album. And like, every dumb lyric, I was like, shut your goddamn mouth. This is horrible.
I was listening to it and I'm like, what is she talking about? Who is this person? So I have like Wikipedia open and I'm listening and I'm like, what is Boy Genius? Do I need to know what this is? What is the 1975?
If you are at all interested in Box.
Yes.
Boy Genius is for you. That is for my people. That is music. That is that is the kind of sad bastard music that my Apple Music is like, this is queer women who wear flannel and listen to men who wear flannel, and also women who wear flannel.
Of those. It's like when I turn on Mitski and then there's a pop-up for the suicide hotline. They're like, are you okay? Is everything good? Because it's only Monday and you're already here.
Phoebe Bridgers, Julian Baker. So good. Okay. The final claim that he is trying to overturn is harassment.
Yes. I didn't understand this argument that he was making at all.
I tried to read some of the case law, and then I was like, I actually don't care about New York state law at fucking all. Sorry, New York. You're just so far away.
Yeah.
I'm never going to need a New York license. So they're basically saying, hey, we took this criminal code for harassment, and we think that this is harassment of Drake. I think this is for the purpose of that contract negotiation thing. Like, you're trying to harass me for that. They don't explicitly say it. I wasn't really sure how this could be harassment, other than just like you had to hear nasty things being said about you every time you turned on your TV or opened up TikTok. Welcome to the internet.
Yeah, it's just I mean, even I have this highlighted and I put in bold, can you do that? just make a civil claim from a criminal statute. I was thinking back to the Wayfair case where they have that civil extortion claim.
Yeah.
And it's like it just, the whole thing about taking a criminal statute and making a civil claim seems very iffy.
Yeah, and so you need some sort of language in the law that says this is the legislature is considering that this also could be a private right of action, right?
Right.
And so whether that's in your overall statute somewhere else where, hey, we are allowing a private right of action for most of our penal code except for blah, 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 or something in the statute itself. I looked at the statute. It does not have that. Now, they say there's some case law where some people have been able to bring a private right of action under this statute.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's interesting because the court says there's no private right of action. And I'm like, and then Gottlieb is like, yes, there is. Here's case law. And I'm like, well, only one of you can be right.
Which to me seems like there should have been a motion to reconsider there. I mean, I guess if you're just going to appeal the whole thing, like, why not? But
as well. Yeah.
So the test is whether the plaintiff is one of the class for whose particular benefit the statute was enacted. Okay. Right? Okay. Recognition of a private right of action would promote the legislative purpose.
Okay.
And creation of such a right would be consistent with the legislative scheme. So that's what we're looking at in converting from criminal to civil. So is this of the class who the statute was enacted for? Is there a recognition of a private right of action that would promote the legislative purpose? And would it be consistent with the legislative scheme? So I think that's, of everything, I think that's something that probably would be important for the Court of Appeals to address.
Right, because what the court here is finding is that there's nothing to distinguish criminal harassment from other provisions of the New York Criminal Code for which there is no implied right of action. So what they're saying is it's not in the statute. Yeah. That you can privately sue for this. This is only, it says the New York legislature conferred authority to enforce the criminal harassment statute upon local law enforcement. So you can only do criminal stuff with this harassment thing. You cannot sue in civil court for damages for it.
Yeah. And I had to go back to the district court opinion to see what they said, because I was like, what are we doing here?
So, I mean, and that could change. Maybe this will be the thing. I do kind of wonder if harassment is something you should be able to sue for.
Exactly. I mean, it does seem like the kind of thing that would be something you should be able to sue for. I mean,
maybe not in this case, but yeah.
We have civil harassment.
Yeah, we do in Colorado as well.
Yeah, so like I can't imagine Arizona is more protective of its people than New York. We're all for one for all, shoot somebody if they piss you off type of state.
We call it the make my day law.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, that is what Drake is appealing. I drop in the comments what you think. I hate this.
Drop in the comments where you were when you first heard Not Like Us.
Oh God, where was I? I think I actually heard a clip on TikTok. I think I hear all my new music on TikTok now, and it's very disappointing. That's not true. I got an email from Iron and Wine, more Sad Bastard music,
Okay.
that they released a new album, and I am listening to that in the car as we
There you
speak,
go.
6 minutes at a time.
So it's not all UMG just funneling this into your consciousness
No.
through inappropriate means. Okay.
No.
I think mine is TikTok and then people sending me something and saying you need to listen to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have also missed a single halftime show since Rock Nation took it over.
Okay.
But when I saw this halftime show, I was like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
I will say, I never watched the halftime show, and I only watched it because my friend and I were saying, do you think he's going to sing Not Like Us? Because as soon as Drake had filed this thing, I told Tyler, I was like, he's only doing this to stop the halftime show. And then it was like, we were back and forth, and I'm like, I don't know what he's going to do. I said, he may not, and then Tyler said he could skip some of the lyrics. And we were like, that'd be a good idea, right? If he just doesn't say the lyrics that are at issue in the case, then technically you didn't republish them. And I mean, we were listening to it, and it was just like 70,000 people singing, trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. And I'm like, oh my God.
I felt the same way where I was like, oh, is he trying to stop this from like being played at the halftime show, which almost makes that Drake like looking right into the camera, like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking say it, and I'm gonna say it on national television with 70,000 people here watching me and millions of people at home watching.
And he didn't say the A minor part. It was only the audience, and I'm like, how did because everybody else is like, it's okay, Drake will sing it for you.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to sing it. We'll do it.
Ugh. That version of TV Off, it just the way the songs mesh into one another. I'm going to go listen to it right now. It's so good.
That's your guys' homework for this, is to go rewatch the halftime show. And I will link I'll link Just Wayne's video.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yes, in the description.
Yeah.
So
he's again an incredible follow.
So any last thoughts that you kind of want to?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how UMG responds. I don't think they've responded yet. Should be coming up soon.
Yeah.
So we'll follow up with you guys. Drop in the comments which song of the battle you think is the best. Obviously, it's Euphoria, and if you said something else, you're wrong. No. Yeah, I don't know. Let us know what you think of this. I feel like there should be a wide berth for art. I just do. Because I think art should be allowed to be political. I think art should be allowed to be controversial. Art should start conversations. I feel like this song did start conversations.
It did, yeah.
This song did take on a life of its own. It became about more than just Drake and Kendrick. It felt like a cultural movement, one that I wasn't even a part of, but it was so nice to sit back and watch, kind of, like, okay, I love this.
Right.
I love this. This is like, there was so much Black joy in watching people connect with this song that it was a really nice moment on the internet. We were living for the rap beef, those of us who are following it. So, but I don't know. I think artists should be allowed to say what they need to say without being concerned that they're going to get dragged into court or that their recording label is going to shut them down because they could get sued.
Right. Yeah,
I think it's the bigger threat.
And I think you're right. I think it's, like, what does he say? You can't fake influence.
Oh, God.
This wouldn't have gotten here if there wasn't more meaning to it. This didn't get here, just because of these allegations. It does take place in the context of a back and forth. But I think the song, like you said, it has more reference to outside songs. It has more reference to culture. It has more reference to larger topics.
Right.
So reading this as a standalone thing, I think I was kind of on Drake's side a little bit more, but now I'm like, yeah, it is referencing so much that is outside the song that it's like, yeah, I mean, you can't fake influence.
Yeah. And I hate the way that you walk. I hate the way you talk. I hate the way you dress. I hate the way you sneak this. If I catch flight, it's going to be direct. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not
But-
kidding. I actually don't really like Drake's music. I don't think it's as good
I
as
you know,
sorry.
I've never listened to it, and I think I'm all the better for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably a more fair way to say it. How can I like something I couldn't really pick out of a lineup? But
There you go. There you go.
all right.
All right.
We'll see you when we see you, where we see you, and how we see you.
If you have any thoughts, please engage in the comments, get in fights in the comments, write diss tracks in the comments.
Tell me you hate me for not liking Drake. That's fine. I get
it. Give us your thoughts on Tortured Poets Department. Just engage. Write a rap beef in the style of the Tortured Poets Department. And the best one we will read to each other in the next episode of Commit
I will
to
make a t-shirt out of it.
We will. So, all right, guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.